So today, this is Crafty Aunt T, and today I want to share with you how to make a journal with my vintage rose digital set that you can print out. I want to show you the colors first. This is my color palette, and I tried to go with really soft neutrals. They're not quite pink and they're not quite peach. They're somewhere, you know, they'll go with either one. I'll show you that. And then I did sort of a brown and sort of, I'm always doing a maroon, so instead of maroon I did a more of a chocolate color here. So when you get your set, every printer is different. I size these to be 12 by 12, and of course unless you have a special printer you can't do 12 by 12 on a regular size printer. So mine automatically sized it down to 8 by 8 sheets, which is actually a size I use a whole lot, so that's okay with me. So these are the designs that will print out for you in the 12 by 12 if you go somewhere and have it printed out, or in the 8 by 8. And your printer may do something different, I'm not sure. So here are all those larger sheets, and you see I've included the solids as well as the patterns. Of course you can print them any way you like. You can skip the solids if you have some solid paper you'd rather use. I like printing it out so that everything is matchy-matchy. And I called it vintage rose. It's not necessarily the roses themselves that are vintage. These roses are, they're watercolor. I've done watercolor on these sheets. But it's more the grunging and the kind of slightly French detail that I've put in here that made me call it vintage. So it's sort of vintage and rose, not necessarily an antique picture of a rose. And some of them, as you see, I didn't grunge this one, and then I grunged this one quite a bit. So you'll have some choices. There are two of this one. The first one that I just passed back there, went right to it. That one does not have the lines, and this one does, because when I say journal, I really do journal. I write in everything and on everything. Here's the last one. I've already cut this one up for something, but there was your last sheet that would print out. Now, then there are some ephemera, or you know, the cut files, and I haven't finished cutting them out. Here are different sizes of rose clusters and some on lace. These are just some little fun button tops. The parrot kept showing up. I've got the parrot in a couple of different ways, and then I did a blank one so that you can write words or put word stickers on there, or whatever you want to do with that one. And I just now checked, this punched perfectly with the 2-inch punch. Mine is a Stampin' Up! Punch, and I will provide links. It's harder to put all the links, and then maybe if I wanted to revise them, which I'm always having to do some sort of correction. They're harder to revise on YouTube. That's why you'll see people putting their links on their blog. So if you'll just go on over to the blog, I know it's one extra step, but if you'll go to the blog, then you will find all the links. This is a frame from the set. This is a journal card. It matches those other bigger ones. These are tags. There's 2 sets of tags. Now, when I got these tags done, you'll see in a minute, they don't fit the pocket that I made. So I went back, and instead of changing the size of these, I changed the pocket to fit them. So these are 3 by 4 inches, and they're all different. And then I did another set of tags that have a different pattern to them. So, and that's not all. Where are they? There's 4. So you have all of those, and then you have these. I think, I can't remember if I called them frames. I probably referred to them as frames. These are frames, and this one has a poem. It's a Wordsworth poem, and then there's that parrot again. The parrot kept popping up. Here's a real lightweight frame, and some of these, if you notice, I printed on a white paper, and some I printed on sort of a, I don't know what they're calling that. It's not ivory. Maybe it's off-white. Anyway, you know, when I'm doing these for you to see, I sort of test everything. So, you know, what's it going to look like on white? How's it going to look different if I, you know, print it off on an off-white? And a lot of times my more vintage pieces are really fun, done on the more yellowish or the off-white paper, but I don't remember. I didn't have it or something. So some of these came out on white. That one needs a little trim. So there's that. And then the other thing I've gotten is I went ahead and used my die cut machine. And now listen, don't stress. If you don't have a die cut machine at all, that's fine. If you do have one, but you have different dies than I do, just use what you have. I will link to these if I know what they are. They're really fun. This was some embossing, dry embossing. I love emboss folders even more than I like die cuts. So I did a lot of little embossed pieces, just a lot of squares and circles that I thought we might use, frames. Really, honestly, these ones that I used were in a Ziploc bag waiting to be filed, and so I just picked them up and grabbed some paper and did them. This is, I love this, love, love, love. This is a, this was a Stampin' Up, and I hope it's not retired. I will link it for you, but it goes perfectly with what we're doing. And so I cut those out, and like I said, just cut something. If you don't have a die cut, you can, you know, lay it down and cut a square frame or whatever you want to. I just thought we would use some of these as embellishments. And here's one that I went ahead and just cut around a little bit. I think I went in it was a 1/4 inch out on all edges and marked it and then cut it to go around this journal card. I just thought that made a nice frame for it. So, and here's the big important thing, the pages. In your files, you'll see journal pages, and that's these. They're the same as the bigger sheets. These I've printed on the off-white paper. So look here, here's the color of this one, and here it is when you do it on the white paper. So see, the pink reads a little bit differently on those two sheets. Anyway, these are the journal pages. And what I do is I put them side by side with a sort of a grunged center line so that you are able to print it, in fact, double-sided, and then you can just stick them all together and make them into a book. Now, Dummy here did not print double-sided. I chose single-sided, like I'd never done this before or something. So I'll show you in a minute what I've done, but here are some of the pages. I like the lined page, and feel free to cut, you know, print that one a bunch and put it in between every other page if you're like me and you love to write in your journal. This one, this is probably my favorite page I've ever made. It's just, I don't know, I just love that one. So there's some. And here are some that I've already actually started working on, so we're going to go to that now. But this is the rest of the pages. So you see, so far, I've only printed out one of everything, and I wanted to work with you now on how to assemble this book. So now, if you're not going to use the Vintage Rose, or if you already have a kit from someone else, for heaven's sakes, don't go and spend, you know, whatever on, I don't even have a price yet. This isn't up yet as I'm making this, so probably around $10. Don't spend $10 if you already have something. Just print it out, work along with me, and we will assemble it. And you may have to make some substitutions, but that's okay. So, since I didn't print it on the back, my original plan was to assemble them all by laying each one on top of the next like this, and then take a needle and thread and stitch the binding, okay, and then make the cover. Then I realized that I hadn't done the printing, so what I've decided to do is this. I take one double page and I take the next double page and lay what we'll call page 3 up against the back of page 2. Do you see what I'm saying? Then just put your glue around the 3 sides. Leave the top open and glue it together, and you will have a pocket where you can slide a photo mat or journaling cards or what have you. I'm gonna say photo mat less here just because I tend to use mine as journals. This could certainly be a really nice photo album. And I did give you frames. I didn't print out all the frames. When I cut this one, I'm really bad with the scissors. I think it was this one. I said, gosh, that one's hard. One of them was, no, it wasn't this one. One of them was difficult to cut. So what I decided, here it is. See, I hid it from myself because it's ugly now because I didn't really finish cutting it and I was accidentally cutting parts off. I'm left-handed. I don't know. I couldn't cut it. So I said, well, I'm not going to use that one. I hid it over there. Then I said, well, what if everybody else doesn't want to use it? So I have gone back and made you some smooth-edged frames that you don't have to fuss with like these. Now this one was okay because the edges were straight. But I think I have 5 more frames. I've not printed those out yet. If I stop the video, I'll go print them for you. But just know that there are 5 more frames that are not shown here. So I've already gone, I'm not very far ahead of you. What I've done is this. I printed everything out. Then I have 3 cutters. This is my smaller guillotine cutter. It's by Tonic Studios, but I have a bigger one. And the first thing I do when I print these things out is I go over, I move from the office into my kitchen and I get the big cutter and I lay down the 8.5 by 11 sheets and I just start chopping. I chop, you know, on those bigger pages, I'll chop all the edges off. And because they're centered, you can actually stack all of those and do, I think I did 5 at a time. So you can stack them up, chop your edges off, and have your pages. And then on these smaller ones, the same thing. And then even with my, obviously I didn't do it here, but with most of my cut files, what I'll do is, say if there's a space here, I'll cut it there, and then maybe I'll cut it, you know, just some general cuts. And then I can move down to a smaller one or to the scissors for the more specific cuts. So that's what I did. I have already printed off and I've already chopped down my pages and I've used the scissors and cut some of my cut files. I also went ahead, this is one of the pockets. Now I'll tell you, I got done, my programs on my computer resize things for me. They're so kind and things mess up. So these are the tags that I designed to go with this pocket. And you can see that it doesn't fit. So I went back on my computer and I resized this pocket. So I'm not sure what I'll do here for tags, but you are going to be fine. Yours will be wide enough to fit this in this same pattern, just it'll be wide enough. Anyway, I went ahead and I did score on the fold lines. The fold lines on this one are really, really pale. They're hard to see. And then I went ahead and scored. This one's actually an envelope. And the fold lines are more evident there. So I scored there. That's all you do is score on 3 sides, leave the top one open, and then you'll apply a little glue or what have you. Now, if you want to stop the video and go that far, that's where I am. Also, I think I did use my Crop-A-Dile and I punched holes in most of my tags. That's all. So if you want to go that far and then turn it back on, feel free and we can work on this together. I have several different kinds of adhesive that I use, and I've got them all here, I think, just in case I want to use them. I use my tape glider or glue tape gun most of the time, but I also have a smaller one. And this one happens to be a glue dot runner, but I often will just use the plain one. I have Suquang tape, and you can find a link to that on my blog. That's the only kind of double-sided tape that I use in my books. And I very often simply use Aleene's tacky glue or even Elmer's glue. If I don't have Aleene's, I will use Scotch brand glue. And the reason is I feel like we spend a lot of money on these special tapes. If you figure it out by the inch, you don't spend much at all on one of these containers of glue. And see, this one says 25% bonus, and then a lot of times they're on sale. So it's economical to use your wet glue. So I will use the wet glue, and that's what I've done here. I've already glued the 3 sides, and now we're going to go over and begin on our first page. Now, I like to leave this page just plain, because I like to write. And when I say I write on everything, I really do. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and sometimes I don't like people to read everything that I write. You know, if they want to look at my book, I don't necessarily want them to see everything. So I will take a sheet like this, which you also can jot some notes or something on, or just put a lot of times I'll use this for a title for what's going on over here. So I'm going to use that. And these little frames make great hinges if you just fasten it on right there. And I tell you what, I've been in the other room 3 times to go ahead and cut another one like this to go on the other side, because you want it on both facing sides. I haven't managed to do it yet, but right now we're just going to glue it on. So here we go. My Aleene's glue is not coming down to the, that's the only thing. You'll shake yourself to death with some of these bigger glues. Come on. And I don't use a ton. You don't need a whole lot. Oops, we need it on both sides though. There we go. Now, so what I'm gonna do, I don't want it up at the top. I want it sort of offset. And then I'm using the pointy edge here and here to sort of line it up and press it down. Now with the wet glue, you do need to press down maybe more than you would on the other, with the other. And I'm not going to lift that up yet. I was going to lift it and go ahead and make the fold, but let's leave it for a minute. In the meantime, let's go on over here. I know I want this pocket on, I would have put it on this page, but this was a page I wanted left alone. So let me shake my glue down again. And, oh, no, it didn't shake down. It's trying to kill me. Okay. Let's see. If you can't see the fold lines on this one, it is made so that the when you fold it all over, the semicircle, see how it is? It shouldn't show. So that's an easy way to fold it if you can't find the fold lines. Maybe I'll go back in there and give you a better line. That would be kind. And I really don't want the flowers on the flowers so much, so I was thinking about using a tag. I think I'll use a tag as sort of like a background. I wish the tag was a little longer. Well, there we go. So I'm going to do it this way. And, you know, play with yours. Give yourself permission to play. I have so many friends who say, oh, I could never make those books you make. And you know why? Because I just play. And I won't go as far as to say, I don't care if it's ugly, but, you know, I'm sure it comes out ugly to somebody. And you know, I just play and experiment. If it's not perfect, oh well. So that's how you want to be when you're a creative. I'm not going to be real careful here. I'm going to put that there. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put a longer strip here just to break up that visual a little bit. Now this is not included in your kit. This is a, it is a Doodads brand, what do you call it, an edge, like for a card, if you were into card making. Border, that's the word, a Doodads border. And it just fits on this page, it's so perfect. So I thought that one was so pretty. Yeah, that'll work fine. I think I'll raise this up a bit so that, well, if I do that, the card, if I put it up higher, the tags or whatever are gonna stick out. What if I do this? All right, I'm going to do this. I really don't care about that hole so much, whether it shows or doesn't show, that makes no difference. But does that look okay? Not sure. Let's get a different color. I'm talking to myself, sorry. I do that all the time. No, not that. I think we need a little something to go down here. Here we go. Start with it. Now I just chopped off a spare piece, and then I'm gonna figure it out. We don't want it this wide, so I think I'm going to make it narrow, about like that other one was that I showed you. Let's see how that goes. But do I want it over there? Let's see. Let's do it here. I'm not sure that made much difference. I wanted you to actually see sort of Aunt T unfiltered today so that you can really get a sense of how I put these together. Okay, maybe like that. So maybe I'll cut it right here. And by doing that, here we go, shaking the glue again. I may have to switch over to the tape gun. By doing this, I feel like we can bring the pocket downward, and see what I mean? Then once you have tags in it, they're just going to be to the top. They're not going to stick out too far. I don't mind them sticking out, but if they stick out way far, they're going to get mashed over time. Now put plenty of glue, if you're using glue, put plenty on the back of that pocket, because that is going to get, you know, it's not really a stress point, but it's going to get pulled on some when you're putting the tags in and out. And again, because I'm using wet glue, I need to press. Okay, and then we're probably ready here to go ahead and crease this. And I'll come back later and put the one on the other side, but you see what to do there. Just put one, and you don't have to, but I believe it's going to stay a lot better if you put a matching hinge over on this side. Glue it on just like you did. And then there are your first 2 pages. Okay, now what I've done is this one with the damask, I put that one on the back of page 2, so I'm calling this page 3 and 4. And I went ahead and glued that, so as you see, we've got a pocket here. And, oh, I pulled that up because the glue wasn't dry. So I was thinking I would put a frame here. I actually cut this out because I thought that paper was just perfect for the damask. And then I don't know if I want to use this or not. This is a an embossed frame. It's a Tim Holtz. I just love it. And it fits nicely in here, but then you're covering up every bit of the damask. There's nothing there left for you to see. And then inside of that one, maybe put one of your cut frames, or it could either go this way, or you can leave out the damask, the embossed, and you could do it this way. So either way you want to do it. Now I will caution you, if you're going to slide a picture into the back of this frame, and it fits exactly, leave the top unglued. If you're going to slide it in and it's a little bigger, maybe it's going to go up here, then leave the top of this one unglued as well so that you can go in behind it. You see what I mean? So that it doesn't, in other words, you don't want it like this. You probably want it like that. So leave room to slide in whatever you're going to put in. And I just took my scissors and snipped the inside of this one out. But you actually don't have to. If you want to leave the center of the frame as the solid paper, then just cut your picture to fit and glue it on top. It's actually a lot easier. And then you won't have to go back and re-glue the top of your frame. So I'm not sure what I want to do here. What do you think? Oops, is that backwards? I think that's backwards. I think I've decided with these, I've used them before, I think I've decided that this is the correct embossed side, and then because there's more room down here and it looks like room for maybe a tag here, this is the top, I guess. Or that could be the top because this looks like an ornate top of a, mirror or something. I don't know. So there's that. I just can't decide. I think I'm going to leave that off. All right. We may use that some other time. So I'm just going to glue down. Nothing special to it. I'm just going to glue down the frame. And now I made this frame just by laying it down on my I can't think of the word. I laid it on my cutter, and I'll show you how I did it. This is by the Paper Studio. I got it at Hobby Lobby. This is the best cutter I've ever had, and it was cheap. I like the way everything about it works. This is a nice sturdy arm that swings out. I was getting it to replace another one that was by Fiskars because their arm kept loosening. And I was always having to ask my husband to tighten it back up, so I got tired of that. Also, this one has both the cutting blade and the, come on, T, what's the word? The, I'll put it on the screen. So you can just, you can cut, and then you can go ahead and score. There we go, scoring blade. You can cut and score just in a row, if you need to. So the way that I made that little frame is I just laid my paper here. Actually, I went up to the 1/2 inch mark. I wanted everything a 1/2 inch. So I went up to the 1/2 inch mark, and I used the cutting blade and cut just in the middle. And then I turned it one turn and went up to the 1/2 inch mark again, cut it. You don't want to go all the way over because you don't quite know where the 1/2 inch is. So just get it close. And then after I had done all 4 sides, then I came back around again and matched it up and took my cutting blade and went, you see the little line here? You can line it up from the edge you've cut will be here, and you can line that line up and then cut it over to the edge, the next edge. So in that way you can easily make your own square or rectangular frames without any dies. or machines. Okay, I think that's dry. So let's put this frame on the inside. I'm going to leave the top half open because I'm not sure yet what I'm doing with that. So here is our shake, shake, shake glue. So I've glued only the bottom, and I'll come back later and do something with that. And we will probably, I'm not embellishing as I go, we'll probably come back through and I'll at least show you what I've done as far as ribbons and gems, stones, and things like that. So on the facing page, I was thinking about using maybe a circle. Yeah. I think we'll do, this is like, it's the moon. And it also helps the dark bird to show up on the dark page. So and this is a stitched oval shape. You'll see a link to those. I can't remember whose they are. You know, I'm really bad about forgetting. I know I have friends who can tell you instantly, oh, that's, you know, lawn fawn, oh, that's so-and-so. I never know the names of anything. I can't remember them. I do now. I put the name onto the package when I store them. I'll show you one day how I store my things, but on the little envelope sleeve that I keep them in, I'll put the manufacturer, but I didn't always, so a lot of them don't have that. All right, I'm just gluing the parrot here, and you will see that I lost some of the leaves. They were the ones that went back there, so I'm just going to glue them on. Okay. And we'll let that dry. And then on the back side of that, I have put the lined page, so I'm going to save this one out and use it for writing. You could feel free to put anything you want on there. You know, it would be nice with a frame. Here's a die cut. Wouldn't that be pretty? Or even just, if you don't want to write a whole lot, this was actually a scrap of scarlet paper, and I used it and embossed on it. So you could, you know, you could put something like that on there. It'd be very nice. I'm not sure I want to cover it up though. I think I'm going to leave that one. And then over here, I haven't made a plan yet. So I'm thinking, because there's lace across this page, it looks to me like it could use a little something right here. Maybe one of the flower bouquets. So let's punch one of those out and see how it looks. And this is a 1 1/4 inch Stampin' Up punch. Doesn't quite get the whole thing. I think I'm going to use it anyway. If you wanted to, you could go up a size. And I still think that needs more than just the, it needs something else. So, and that's where these shapes will come in handy if you've cut out some shapes. If that one was one size bigger, it would make a nice scallop edge all around. But it's not, so do this one. So I think what I'm going to do is just use this sticker-like one, since I don't seem to have exactly what I want here. Now, if you're using this for a photo album, you would kind of ignore the fact that this is, you know, different up above. To me, this says you can write here, you know, and this is your decorative part. So that's how I'm going to treat it. And this bird, okay, I think he's actually supposed to be a little bit like that. I'm not sure. There we go. Okay, yeah, because the branch kind of comes down. So I'm just going to glue him on. And this is certainly a place where it would be nice to use dimensionals so that he was popped up a little bit. I don't happen to have him in here, so I'm just going to glue him down. In fact, I'm tired of shaking the bottle, so I'm going to use this. I don't know if you've ever used the one with the dots. I found them at Tuesday morning and decided to give them a try. So there's our cute little parrot.